So who can benefit from this seminar? Well, for sure, if you are a business owner or leader or an influencer about what to do next, this seminar can help you understand business analytics better. But you also might want to be somebody who just wants a better footing at what these concepts are all about and what business analytics is. And this can come in really handy if you're sitting and listening to someone who's pitching analytic services to you. You can challenge them, you can ask questions back, and in general, maybe you can sound like you know what you're talking about. So I think it's fair to say that business analytics truly surrounds us. If you've ever made a purchase with a credit card or a debit card, if you've ever visited a website, even if you have your cell phone on location services and you move from place to place, somebody is collecting data about you. And they actually compare that data with other data that they purchase that tells them what job you have, what car you drive, where you live, even what magazines you subscribe to. And they use that data to learn about consumers, right? What are they buying? How much do they pay? How much would they be willing to pay? And even, are they about to take their business elsewhere? Companies also learn about themselves. Are they operating most efficiently? Is somebody stealing from them? Are they in compliance with regulations and laws? And they learn about their competitors. For example, where is my competition going to put their next retail location? And what do I want to do about that? Business analytics is truly huge. It's extremely powerful, and it's profitable. And that's why it's so pervasive. In 2016, a business analysis and advisory company called Gartner published a paper where they started it out with this quote. By 2018, more than half of large organizations globally will compete using advanced analytics and proprietary algorithms, and this is my favorite part, causing the disruption of entire industries. So that's a heck of a thing to say. And here we are 2 years later, and yes, indeed, it is happening. So let's start with increasing revenue. Business analytics can and has answered these questions for a lot of companies. Business analytics can help with upselling. For example, an auto manufacturer understanding what features to put in different levels of the same model of car. Business analytics can also help with cross-selling. For example, why pancake mix and maple syrup are located right next to each other in the grocery store. Now, all of that sounds like common sense, and yes, it is. However, if you think about the fact that people spend their entire careers advising companies on how to position their products better, and you think about that and sort of walk around in the world, you start to see all kinds of examples, because truly business analytics surrounds us. Let's go with one other example, which is one that I really like. It's how can I preserve the greatest margin when liquidating distressed inventory? So say I'm a person who manufactures and sells outdoor gear and outdoor clothing. And all of a sudden in April, I find myself with an enormous stock of big, thick, heavy woolen socks. Nobody wants to buy woolen socks in April. They want to buy swimsuits in April. So what do? Well, I want to liquidate them as quickly as I can, but I also want to preserve my sales margin. I don't want to throw money away. So I discount my woolen socks, but the question is how much? Should I discount them 10%, 25%, or 40%? What's enough to move them and still preserve as much margin as possible? And that's one thing that business analytics can answer. Many times folks do it by gut feel or maybe standard practice, and that risks really leaving money on the table. And that's the value of business analytics. So let's go to cost. So business analytics can help identify areas of waste and inefficiency that often hide from human eyes. They can tell you when to purchase supplies in order to get the best deal. They can help you detect fraud and abuse before it even happens. And this is a good example, they can tell you what the wage that you set for your employees should be based on how much it costs to recruit and train a new employee, and even the productivity lost when somebody leaves. And if you know that, then you can balance out the wage that you pay your current employees to help ensure that you're operating most efficiently. So as any business owner knows, there are some customers that are more valuable or productive for them than others, right? There's customers that you really want to go after. There's customers that you'll take if they come along, and then there's customers who basically cost more to serve than the return. Think about a company that offers free incentives as part of their marketing strategy or how they position their brand. There are types of customers who will basically make use of most of those free services and not spend very much. So companies use analytics to understand which customers they really want to go after and which ones they'll take and which ones they're not so interested in, and that really helps drive their advertising budget and decisions. There's a really good example of a bank who years ago hired an analytics company to identify customers who were about to leave. So what the analytics company did is they took historic data for customers who had left, the 6 months of transactions prior to their departure, and they looked for patterns in those transactions, and then they compared that data to customers who were still around. And what they did is they took an analytics algorithm and they produced what's called a trained model. And that trained model then they handed back over to the bank. And the bank was able to run their current customer base through that and the current transactions and identify those customers who were fitting that pattern of transactions for those who had left historically. But they didn't stop there. Among that group of customers identified, they looked at who was the most profitable. And to those customers, they spent money offering special incentives to get them to stay, to keep them happy. And sure enough, they were able to bend the trend on attrition and actually preserve revenue, which is essentially getting money that would have walked out the door.